It's 2006 in Ramadi, Iraq, at the time the most dangerous city on earth. Gunfire is coming from every direction. Smoke fills the streets. In the confusion, something happens that every soldier fears more than the enemy itself. American forces accidentally open fire on their own men. When the smoke clears, an Iraqi soldier fighting alongside the Americans is dead, and more are wounded. Friendly fire. The worst possible outcome in combat, and it happened on his watch. The commander responsible for that operation could have blamed the chaos of war. He could have blamed a subordinate's mistake. He could have blamed poor visibility, bad radio communication, or a dozen other factors that would have been completely believable, completely defensible, and completely true. Instead, he walked into a room full of senior officers, men who had the power to end his career on the spot, and said 4 words that most human beings will never have the courage to say in their entire lives. "This is my fault." What happened in the 60 seconds after he said that sentence is the reason his methods are now taught inside Fortune 500 boardrooms, professional sports locker rooms, and military academies around the world. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why the most powerful sentence a human being can say is also the one almost nobody is willing to say out loud. His name is Jocko Willink. This is not a story about war. This is a story about the one decision that determines whether your entire life stays stuck exactly where it is or finally starts moving. Jocko led SEAL Team 3's Task Unit Bruiser through the Battle of Ramadi, one of the deadliest and most chaotic urban battles American forces fought during the entire Iraq War. Every day was close-quarters combat, snipers, IEDs, and enemy fighters who knew every alley and rooftop of a city they'd controlled for years.
In the middle of that chaos, the operation went wrong. Units lost track of each other in the smoke and gunfire. One unit engaged what they believed was an enemy position. It wasn't. It was friendly forces. A man died who should not have died, and it happened under Jocko's command. Command convened an investigation. Every officer in that room was trying to determine one thing. Whose fault was this? There were multiple units involved, multiple points where the mistake could have originated, multiple people who could reasonably share the blame. Jocko stood up before anyone else could speak and took all of it. Not some of it, all of it. He explained in detail every decision he had made leading up to that moment and stated plainly that the failure of anyone underneath him was his failure, without exception, without excuse, without qualification. Stop and actually sit with that for a second, because this is the entire foundation of everything that follows. He did not personally give the order that caused the friendly fire. He was not the one who misidentified the target, and still he stood in front of the people who controlled his career and said the failure belonged entirely to him. Why would anyone do that? Why would anyone deliberately absorb blame they could have easily avoided? Because in that moment, Jocko discovered the single idea that would define the rest of his life and the lives of everyone who has studied under him since. He called it extreme ownership, and it rests on one brutal, non-negotiable law. There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. Think about what that actually means, because it's more uncomfortable than it sounds. Every excuse you have ever made in your life, my team didn't execute, my partner didn't support me, my parents didn't raise me right, my boss doesn't see my potential, my circumstances were unfair. Every single one of those excuses places the failure outside of you, somewhere you can't control, somewhere convenient.
Extreme ownership demolishes that entire escape route. If something under your influence failed, it is your responsibility. Not 50%, not mostly, but not entirely. All of it, or none of it. because the second you start dividing blame, you've already given yourself permission to stop fixing what's actually broken. This should feel uncomfortable right now, and it's supposed to, because somewhere in your life, right now, there is something you have quietly, comfortably blamed on someone else. And Jocko would tell you, without blinking, that the responsibility was always yours. Here's why that discomfort might be the most valuable thing you feel all week. The moment Jocko took full ownership in that room, something shifted. Officers who had walked in ready to defend themselves, ready to point at each other, started doing the opposite. One by one, they began owning their own parts of the failure, not because they were forced to, but because real ownership had just been modeled in front of them, and it gave everyone permission to stop protecting their ego and start actually solving the problem. This is the part almost nobody understands about extreme ownership. It was never about guilt. It was never about self-punishment. It is the single fastest mechanism that exists for regaining control of a broken situation, because you cannot fix what you refuse to claim. The second you blame something outside yourself, you hand away your own power to change it. If it's someone else's fault, only they can fix it. If it's your fault, you can start fixing it in the next 5 minutes. Blame feels good for about 10 seconds. Ownership is the only thing that has ever actually solved a problem in the history of problems. Jocko built a second law from that same battlefield, and almost nobody outside of his own students has heard of it. He called it cover and move. In combat, no single unit survives alone. One team suppresses enemy fire while another team advances. Then they switch. Constant, coordinated support, because a team that only looks out for itself gets picked apart, and a team that moves together, covering each other's weaknesses, becomes unstoppable.
Jocko discovered this principle applies to every relationship, every team, every business that has ever existed. The sales department blaming the marketing department. The marketing department blaming the sales department. A husband and wife keeping score of who's failing whom. All of it is the exact opposite of cover and move. It's every unit fighting for itself instead of fighting for the mission. The instant you stop asking who's failing and start asking how do I cover the gap in front of me right now, the entire dynamic changes. Not because the other person suddenly improves, because you stopped waiting for them to. There's a third principle, and this might be the most practically useful one in this entire video, because it solves a problem almost everyone struggles with: being completely overwhelmed. Jocko called it prioritize and execute. In combat, when everything is going wrong simultaneously, gunfire from multiple directions, a wounded soldier, a communication breakdown, a change in enemy position, all at once, the instinct is to try to solve everything at the same time, and that instinct gets people killed. Not because the problems aren't real, because a mind trying to solve 10 things simultaneously solves none of them well. The rule is brutally simple. Identify the single highest priority problem, solve it completely, even if only for a few seconds, then move to the next one. Not 5 things at once, one thing fully executed, then the next. This is exactly why so many people feel permanently overwhelmed in their own lives. Not because they don't have the ability to fix their problems, but because they're trying to fix all of them at the same time and ending up making progress on none of them. The person who identifies the one thing that matters most right now and executes it completely before moving to the next will always outperform the person frantically trying to juggle everything at once. Now, here's how all 3 of these ideas connect, because none of them work in isolation. Extreme ownership gives you the power back by refusing to hand blame to something outside your control. Cover and move keeps you moving forward with the people around you instead of against them. Prioritize and execute stops the overwhelm that convinces most people to freeze entirely. But there's one more piece Jocko discovered that ties all of it together, and it's the hardest one to actually live by. He called it the dichotomy of leadership.
Every strength pushed too far becomes a weakness. Confidence without humility becomes arrogance. Discipline without flexibility becomes rigid and brittle. Aggression without restraint becomes recklessness. Ownership without balance becomes self-blame that paralyzes you instead of moving you forward. Real strength was never about maximizing one trait as hard as possible. It was always about standing on a razor's edge between opposing forces, feeling the moment you've drifted too far in either direction and correcting, every single day, without exception. Most people live permanently stuck on one side of that edge and mistake it for their personality. Instead of recognizing it as an imbalance they have the power to correct. So here's exactly how you use everything Jocko discovered starting today, not someday. First, find the one thing in your life you've quietly been blaming on someone else. Your job, your relationship, your body, your finances. Say it out loud, exactly the way Jocko did. This is my fault. Not to punish yourself, to take back the power to fix it. Second, stop keeping score of who's failing whom. Ask instead, what gap in front of me can I cover right now, regardless of what anyone else is doing? Third, the next time you feel overwhelmed by everything at once, stop. Identify the single highest priority problem in front of you. Solve that one thing completely. Then, and only then, move to the next. Fourth, look for the razor's edge in your own life. Where have you drifted too far into one extreme? Too aggressive, too passive, too rigid, too loose. Too hard on yourself, too easy on yourself. Correct 1 degree today. Not the whole thing, 1 degree. Remember how this started. A man stood in front of every officer above him after losing a soldier in combat and refused to hand off a single ounce of blame that was rightfully his. He understood something that most people never will in their entire lives. Blame protects your ego for 10 seconds. Ownership gives you your power back for the rest of your life. There is something in your life right now that isn't going the way you want it to. Somewhere, quietly, comfortably, you have been blaming it on someone else. Jocko Willink stood in a room that could have ended his career after losing a man under his command and refused to do that. What's your excuse? Extreme ownership was never really about the military. It was never really about leadership either. It was about one decision available to you right now, in this exact second. Own it, or keep handing your power to something you refuse to control. If this hit you the way it hit me, tell me one thing you're taking full ownership of today, starting right now in the comments below. I read every single one. Stay with us.